So thyroidinum is usually mostly prepared from the dried thyroid gland of the bull or the ox, or even the sometimes the sheep. So this medicine is very useful in the homeopathic mathematica, and we can prescribe it in useful in day-to-day practice. It is nothing but the surcoats, and which is medicine. The particular drug is specifically indicated in case of the psoriasis, the female problem, even the skin problem, and the myxedema and the cretinism. So if we see the drugs which is used in case of the allergy, mostly thyroidinum is a very important medicine for the preparation for the curing of the allergy. So many classical, in case of the classical prescription, it has been found it should be used in case of the clinical problem, especially those who are having the history of the allergy. In that cases, this is a very important medicine to control the allergy. This is an important medicine. Plus, the endogenous toxins is the in the past is there. We can think of it. Family history of the allergy, even where we can use the medicine. This thyroidinum, family history of the allergy, diabetes, goiter, even the wasting disease. Even the tubercular myasm is also causing the same problem. The especially wasting of the muscles, wasting of the disease is very important. Even history of the preeclampsia of the mother and disappointment of the love. This is also another characteristic symptoms where when we can prescribe the medicine. Disappointment of the disappointment in love and a preeclampsia stage. So if we see the constitution of the drugs, then what will we find it? In constitution, mostly the obese persons or lean-thin emaciated persons may be useful. There is no fixed idea. There should not be basic fixed principle. It can be used in case of edema. It can be used in case of the lean-thin emaciated person, and even the obese persons, and the lack of coordination as example of the arm growing and other not. So arm कभी-कभी देखा गया है जे example is the obese individuals whose arms are usually fatty, being the fatty and so on. Even the young peoples who grow too rapidly are inclined to stoop. In that cases we can think of these drugs. The obese peoples who are going to be important and who grow too rapidly and inclined to stoop. So even if we find there is a stoop shoulder persons are the phosphorus and the sulfur. So but here what we find it that the inclined to obese and inclined to obesity and inclined to stoop. Diathesis dekha, so that is the tubercular diathesis is there. Myasm is the mixed myasm is there, and temperament is the sanguine temperament is there. Okay. Next, what we find that there is the mental symptoms of the acute stupor in the rigid character found in depression. So, कभी-कभी देखा या ये लोगों को acute conditions in any disease conditions, especially found in depression, we find it. There is the melancholia, weeping tendency, and underhit herself. She is having a homicidal tendencies. So it is very important. In case of the melancholic weeping tendency under herself, she is having a homicidal tendency. So in that cases, we can think of these drugs. There is the delusions or persecutions. There is very persecutions. That means जिसको उत्पीड़न बोलते हैं, वो जगह में भी हम इस्तेमाल कर सकते हैं. कोई पेशेंट अगर ज़्यादा उत्पीड़न का शिकार हो गया, उस जगह में भी हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं. They become very irritable and very ill-tempered, very ill-tempered. Where we can think of these drugs, right? So, though mental journals के देखना is very important. Where the patient is weeping tendency, dementia, depression, melancholia, homicidal tendency in that cases. Delusions of precaution, persecution is there, and physical general reaction to the heat and cold in the chilly patient, extreme chilly patient. Desire for the salt and sweet is also important. The another medicine, argentonicum, calciricum, lycopodium, natramur, and so medicine are there. So desire for salt and sweet is they are craving for it. Next, our appetite, loss of appetite and increased appetite with improved digestion. Loss of appetite and improved and digestion is also there. So loss of appetite is very important, and because of it has been found there is most of the time their appetite becomes a loss, and sometimes there may be find appetite is increased, and sometimes after giving to it the appetite usually increased and improved digestion is there. Thirst, there is a great thirst. Okay, next number stool, usually constipation are there, sometimes diarrhea with abdominal disorders also there. So constipation के साथ भी कभी diarrhea may be present and which feels the abdominal discomfort. Urine क्या देखेंगे? Increased flow of the urine. Increased flow of urine is very important. Profuse secretion, sweating from the palms and the soles is very important. There is the trembling of the hands is also important, and there is the sleep. Continued tendency to sleep or insomnia. Continued tendency to sleep or insomnia. दोनों प्रकार का देख सकते हैं. Either excessive sleep or insomnia, both may be there. Next, our dreams of the nightmare is there. Dreams of the nightmare is also there. So next, if we see the guiding symptoms of the drugs, then what will we find it in case of the guiding symptoms? First, like patient with the staring eyes. So in case of this medicine, the thyroidinum, we find that the staring look is very important. So phosphorus also having the staring eyes. And next in the burning on the palms and soles. Sometimes burning in the palms and soles are also there. Profuse sweating, especially from the palms and soles, are also present. Aconite, calcida, silicea, natramur, nitric acid, these are also having their symptoms. So chilly, another thing is the chilly patient, but I prefer the cold externally. They are the chilly, but cold externally is very important. That is the argentonicum and calciricum also there. So they usually chilly, but they also prefers the cold extremities, cold externally. Next number is the craving for the salts and the sweets. Previously I already discussed salt and sweet. They usually prefers like that of the argentonicum, calciricum, carbovage and natramur. There may be the edema of any type of the edema. So the edema is also found in any part of the body, even the face, hands, extremities, abdomen and so on. Ascites also there. Then the headache associated with the abdominal pain is also there. And another thing, sometimes we will find that there is the headache along with the hair falling is very important symptoms. Okay. Then the hyperplastic otitis media with sclerosis and loss of mobility to the ossicles is also found. So hyperplastic otitis media. So in case of the irritability of the otitis ear with sclerosis and loss of mobility of the ossicles is also found. So actually what we find there is the deafness of the ear, and that is also found. Tongue is very thickly coated. Exophthalmic goiter is also there. Tongue thickly coated. Exophthalmic goiter is there. Nausea with the slightest vomiting. Nausea with slightest vomiting is there. GI tract disturbance and gas and diarrhea is also there. Increased sexual desire somewhere, but may not be Some have, there is the lack of the sexual desire is also present. Menses, profuse, prolonged, more frequent, and painless bleeding. So what we find, profuse menses, prolonged, more frequent, and painless bleeding is there. So it has some comment on the urogenital gland and menstruation, uterus, and some other part. How do we find there is the menses is very irregular, maybe profuse, prolonged, more frequent, and painless bleeding is there. Agalactorrhea, okay, गैलेक्टोरिया बोलो तो ब्रेस्ट में मिल्क सिक्रीशन नहीं होते, एक्यूमुलेशन नहीं होते. The गैलेक्टोरिया is associated with the return of the menses. Okay, so agalactorrhea is associated with the return of menses. Hemoptysis with the thyroidis at the apex of the left lung. Thyroidis on the apex of the left lung is there. Tachycardia, there is the mostly tachycardia is there, and what we find there. Now with radio excitability of the heart peristalsis is found. With the heart paralysis, heart frequency, excitability, that is most present. Symptoms of angina pectoris. Symptoms of angina pectoris is very important. Stabbing type of lumbar pain with nausea, lumbar pain में दर्द है with nausea, and flushing and faintness is also found. Flushings and faintness. So pain in the lumbar region is very important. Sometimes the patient is unable to bear it. Even sometimes what we find there is any menstruation problem along with it. Even sometimes it has been found those who are the excessively fatty flabby, for them this type of symptoms is mostly present. Tachycardia with the radio excitable heart, symptoms of angina pectoris is there. Swelling of the legs with the swelling of the face is very important. So when there is a swelling of the face and the extremities, legs, we can think of the thyroidinum. So these symptoms are very important. That thyroidinum has some capacity to produce edematous condition of the whole body. There may be the discoloration of the feet and the hands. कभी-कभी देखा गया, the hands and feet undergoes discoloration. What do you mean by discolorations? That means the skin is undergoes sloughing out. Skin क्या हो जाता है? निकाल जाते हैं, sloughing out हो जाते हैं. Okay. There is a quivering of the limbs. The tremor of the limbs is very important. Tremor of the limbs is very important. हमारे पास जिनसीमा है, phosphorus है, graphitis है, but the constitution is also different. Even it is a very good medicine. लोगों कोई teacher or practitioner use करते as an empirically in case of the psoriasis and urticaria. So idiopathic urticaria, we can think of these drugs. Okay, patient in the head symptoms. Patient will have persistent frontal headache and feeling of the lightness of the brain. Frontal headache with feeling of the lightness of the brain. The face is flushed, eyeballs are prominent, face is flushed, eyeballs are prominent, tongue and thick coated. Eyeballs are thick, tongue and thick coated, associated with the bad taste in the mouth. In the heart affections, so if heart affection patient comes with the marked tachycardia, the pulse is rapid but weak and the patient is unable to lie down. So patient comes with the marked tachycardia, the pulse is rapid but weak and the patient unable to lie down. Patient so near. So there is an anxiety as if the chest is constricted. So in case of these conditions, you must think about the drugs. There is the palpitation from slightest exertions associated with the severe chest pain. Palpitation, slightest exertion associated with the severe chest pain. We can think of these drugs. And usually anxiety is worries the patient of the thyroidinum patient are chilly, they're very anxiety worries about the future also. Their anxiety worries about the disease condition also. Okay. So if you see the urine travels, then what you'll find patient says there is increased rate of micturition, increased rate of micturations, presence of albumin and sugar in the urine. It is another characteristic symptoms of the um, thyroidinum. So presence of albumin and sugar in the urine is another characteristic features. In case of the weak, nervous and irritable children, mother complains of enuresis. The patients who are very babies especially very prone having the tendency to the enuresis at night. At that cases, whenever well-selected remedy fails, we can think of this thyroidinum. The urine is sweet smelling. There is sensation of burning along the urethra. There is increased amount of uric acid in the urine. These are mostly found it. So, there may be some other incontinence of urine or other factors are there. Even sometimes you'll find due to some other salts are present in the urine. So as a result of that salts, or polyuria or maybe proteinuria, there is edema and so some other things are found. Usually, so if we see it, this medicine usually anemia useful in case of the anemia, emaciation, muscular weakness, headache, sweating, nervous tremor, paralysis, exophthalmos, myxedema, cretinism, rheumatoid arthritis, infantile wasting, rickets, tachycardia, psoriasis, amblyopia, बोलो तो आँख देख नहीं पाते बराबर, uterine fibroid and mammary tumor is also there, and nocturnal enuresis, and also atelectasia, vomiting during pregnancy is also found, vomiting during pregnancy. So if we see these drugs in that way, we will find various types of disease condition we must consider it. Even this medicine is useful in so many skin disease conditions. And if we see it, that is the if we see it, then it is a very good medicine for the cases of the old disease conditions. So a course, it is nothing but I am discussing about it from different books, that is from Dr. Pathak, that will be helpful. He is a very clinical clinicians and have some abundant knowledge regarding the homeopathy. So if we see it about the drugs, the thyroid has connection with the heart. Moreover, the exercise and general regulating influences on the mechanism or the organs of the nutrition. Growth and development is there. So influences of the mechanism of the organs of nutrition, growth and development is there. It affects the central nervous system, skin and left side is very important. Apart from this, a state of puffiness and obesity is important. कौन symptoms को पर हम trace दे सकते हैं. The patient becomes very much tired and sick all the time, easily fatigued, wants to lie down. So we can find it. The patient feels tired and sick, easily fatigued, wants to lie down, and so on. There is fainting fits, tremors, nervousness. Fainting fits, tremors, and nervous of the face and limbs, feet of the face and limbs, stabbing, splitting, and clutching sensations. There is the choking, rapid choking sensation. Also, there is a clutching sensation. There is a splitting sensation, and so on. There may be the rapid emaciation is very important part. Emaciation very rapidly. Obesity is also another part. So there may be sometimes the controversy whether the patient is obese or they are the lengthy emaciated in that conditions. There is the goiter's problem, the tingling, numbness sensation, all the extremities. Mixed edema is also another factor. So you'll find in case of the mixed edema with loss of hair is also very important. Mixed edema with loss of hair and cretinism. Okay, mixed edema with loss of hair and cretinism. Arrested development of the children. So thyroidinum may help a lot. If there is a developmental defect of the children, we can think of it. Infantile wasting. बहुत सारे बच्चे का देखा गया है ये बचपन में लोगों वेस्टिंग हो जाते हैं. Undescended testicles in the boys, हमारे पास मेडिसिन है, especially the oram group, iodium, syphilinum. This medicine may help a lot. Infantile wasting, the undescended testes in the boys. Thyroid weakness causes decided craving for the large quantities of sugar. इसलिए कभी कभी देखा thyroid weakness causes decided craving for large quantity of sugar. So thyroid hormone secretion कम होने से कभी कभी large quantity of craving for sugar is also obtainable. There may be acromegaly, even there may be the delayed union or fracture. These are also found. Tetany aggravation, cold aggravation, and so on. Instantly, there is the anything which is instantly. Hysteroepilepsy condition also, hysteroepileptic condition. As of a cold wind blowing on the body, chilliness, sense as if a cold wind blowing on the body. The rheumatoid arthritis is also there. Edema is also one of the there, or especially the lower extremity is also found edema. Mammary tumors, we can think of the drugs in case of the mammary tumors, even low blood pressure in case of the low blood pressure. Okay. Least exertion or the cold, aggravation from least exertion or the cold aggravation. Stooping aggravation. Better by lying on abdomen and reclining position is also there. Lying on abdomen and recline. Mind on a stupor, alternating with the restless mentality. They cannot keep quiet. They weeps and undresses. They usually weeps and undresses. Homicidal tendency is there. Suspicious mentality is there. Idea of persecutions is there. Ill-tempered aggravation, opposition goes into a rage over trifles. Grumbling continuously, always grumbling continuously. Laughing in a way peculiar to herself. So they mostly laughs about herself. Head, feeling of lightness in brain, persistent frontal headache, heaviness over the eyes, falling of the hair is another important symptoms of the drugs. So we'll find it. There is the falling of the hair and edema of the face, edema of the eyelids, even weakness, prostrations, chilliness, and besides that there is an extreme irritability, the trembling of the hands, excessive sweating. These are very important symptoms of the drugs. If we see the eyes, there is exophthalmic goiter, progressive loss of the sight with central scotoma, progressive loss of the sight and central scotoma is there. The ears, sclerosis of ossicles, the ossicles becomes sclerosed. Nose becomes dry and indoors, runs outdoors. This is very important symptoms of the drugs. The indoors are dry, while outdoors are actually watery. Face becomes flushed, lips dry, red burn, coated, metallic taste at the tip of the tongue, throat dry and burning. As of a splinter stuck across the throat, as of a splinter across the throat, stomach, desire for sweets and thirst for cold water. Desire for sweet and thirst for cold water. Vomiting of pregnancy is very important symptoms of the drugs. Vomiting of pregnancy. Okay. So in case of during pregnancy, there is vomiting. That can be controlled by the thyroidinum. Cutting and liver pain, aggravation, deep breathing sensation is there. Rolling of flatulence with gurgling, then loose greasy stools, grassy stools are there. Bearing and aching down through the pelvis into anterior thigh. Bearing and aching down through the pelvis into the thigh. Urinary symptoms are very important. There is increased flow of the urine. Urine smells of the violet. Enuresis, weakly children. कभी कभी देखा गया है छोटे छोटे बच्चे का enuresis हो सकती है. Incontinence of the urine, especially the children. Urine there is as a result of there is edema, swelling and some other parts. Females amenorrhea, drying in the uterus. Females amenorrhea and drying in the uterus, uterine problem. Agalactasia, बोलो तो उसका अंदर कोई milk secretion नहीं होते. Vomiting of the pregnancy is another factor. Uterine fibroid is another factor. So sometimes we find uterine fibroid and so on. There may be some puerperal convulsions, insanity are there. Puerperal convulsions, insanities will be there. Respiratory larynx is become dry, painful, cough, entering in a warm room and cold room. That the breathlessness, ambulation, lying in recumbent posture is also very important. There is a palpitation, head, heart, palpitation, aggravation, least exertion. There is the hammering, beat, felt in the dark. There is the tachycardia, heart pains related to the axilla, heart pains related to the axilla, clutching and constricting pain, lying down aggravation, causing short breath, hypertrophy after heart liver, as if blood are rushing downwards through the body, jumping sensation in the heart, large veins of arms and hands, the veins have becomes prominent, valvular disease of the heart, quivering of limbs, tremors, the hands have becomes undergoes tremors, numb left fingers, then right leg, first of the left fingers and then right leg becomes under numbness, left hand icy cold, cold clammy hands, abnormal growth of the limbs due to excessive exertions, abnormal growth of the limbs due to the excessive exertion, skin very dry, itching without eruptions, skin is very dry, itching without eruptions, psoriasis is also there, with adiposity, ichthyosis disease. So in case of the ichthyosis, we can consider these drugs. In case of the psoriasis, when it will become obstinate, it is a very useful remedy. And not only that, itching with eruptions is very important. Itching with jaundice is very important on these drugs. Somewhere when other medicine cannot control it, we can think of it. Peeling of the lower limbs. Sometimes we find that the lower limbs undergo skin symptoms are peeling, browny swellings, edematous swellings, and the color becomes brown. Symmetrical serpentine eruptions. कभी कभी देखा गया ये serpentine snake का मतलब एक प्रकार की eruption होते हैं. It is not the nagging, but this type of may be possible. There is the brown swelling, symmetrical serpentine eruptions are there. Hot flushes, then chills, flushes, hot flushes, then chills, or drenching sweats are very important. Drenching sweat, hot flushes, drenching sweat, then chills. Oily, musty sweat is also another important symptom of the class. Oily, musty sweat. The sweat becomes oily and musty. The related remedies, calcarea and glomalin. Calcarea is very important medicine. This may be very similar to the thyroidinum. Calcarea aggravation, amelioration to some extent like the thyroidinum. Even the calcarea का और एक सबसे बड़ी बात है. Excessive sweating, thyroidinum also excessive sweating. These are for sweet salt. These are also having the same thing. And so many characteristic symptoms are present in this situation. Glomalin is very important of the drugs. Glomalin, that is also forgetfulness and so on. Excessive headache and some other consequence effect. Okay. Then question comes which potency is to be used. Somebody prefer 30, somebody 200. But in case of the thyroid problem, somebody prefer the 6 potency. That is written in the Burik. Okay. By this you can cure it. Thank you. Bye.